She stood across the street, arms folded, watching my house burn like she had just won a prize. The orange flames danced in her glasses, and she smiled, actually smiled. I could still hear her voice echoing in my head from an hour ago when she screamed, "You people don't belong here. I told you the law doesn't allow junk like this." Junk. That's what she called my home. The place I built with my own hands after coming back from service overseas. The fire truck arrived late, too late. The walls were gone, the roof collapsed, and the smell of smoke mixed with my sweat and disbelief. My daughter held my hand, shaking. "Dad, is everything gone?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. My throat locked up with rage and helplessness. Karen, yeah, that Karen, was still there, talking to the cops like she owned them. "It must have been his fault," she said. "That man was keeping propane tanks, I warned you all." She was lying, straight-faced, and they were writing notes. I stepped forward, fists tight, but one of the officers blocked me. "Sir, please step back." I wanted to shout, to tell them she did this. But without proof, it'd just sound like anger. And that's when she looked at me, smirked, and whispered loud enough for me to hear, "You should have listened to me." That moment burned harder than the fire itself. But she didn't know something that would change everything later. I wasn't just any man standing in ashes. I was the man she'd soon see again, on the other side of the courtroom. Because this time, justice wouldn't come from fire. It would come from me. The next morning, the smoke was gone, but the smell stayed, like a reminder that she'd taken everything. My truck, my tools, my memories, all melted into black dust. The fire marshal called it an accident. I laughed under my breath. An accident doesn't start right after someone threatens to teach you a lesson. I spent hours going through what was left. Charred photo frames, half-burned flag, and then, a small, melted piece of plastic with the letters KWA stamped on it. Karen's little WA nameplate. She must have dropped it when she was creeping around my property the night before. I took pictures, careful, quiet. I didn't tell the police yet. I'd learned one thing from the army: you don't fight back when you're angry. You wait. You plan. 2 days later, she showed up at the temporary shelter where my daughter and I were staying. Dressed all fancy, perfume thick like she was celebrating. "I just came to check if you're okay," she said, pretending to care. My daughter hid behind me. I forced a smile. "We're fine. Fire can't kill truth." Her eyes twitched. She didn't like that. She leaned close and whispered, "You shouldn't stay here long. WA doesn't approve of people without permanent addresses." Then she laughed and walked away, heels clicking like gunshots. That was the moment I decided. No more waiting. No more fear. I pulled out my old contacts list, the ones most people forgot I had. Because before I built houses for a living, I used to build cases. She had no idea the man she'd just mocked wasn't just a homeowner. He was a retired federal investigator. And this time, the fire she started would burn her instead. I started quietly, like a shadow. Karen thought I was broken, defeated, a man without a home. But that was her mistake. People like her only see what's on the surface. They never look deeper. I met with an old friend, Detective Ramirez, at a small diner off Highway 9. He was still on the force, still sharp. When I slid the burned WA badge across the table, he raised an eyebrow. "You sure about this?" he asked. "Dead sure," I said. "And I want it done by the book." We pulled traffic cam footage, fire reports, and neighborhood surveillance. Every night, I'd sit in my truck with my laptop, piecing together the puzzle. Then I found it, a clip from a neighbor's security cam. Karen's SUV parked near my driveway the night of the fire. 2 gas cans in the back. She was wearing gloves. I sent the footage to Ramirez. He whistled low. "She's cooked." But I wasn't smiling yet. I knew Karen. She'd twist, lie, and scream until she made herself the victim. So I needed one more thing, a confession. I set up a small camera in my phone and called her, pretending to apologize. "Maybe I overreacted," I said. "Maybe we can talk this out. Coffee." She hesitated, then agreed. Her ego couldn't resist the chance to gloat. At the cafe, she leaned back in her chair, smug as ever. "You see," she said, "sometimes you have to lose something to learn respect." My pulse jumped, but I kept my face calm. "You mean, lose a house?" I asked softly. She smirked. "Oh, come on. You can't prove anything. Fires happen." I smiled. "Yeah, especially when someone drops their WA badge in the ashes." For the first time, her face went pale. She froze. And that's when I knew I had her. But what happened next was something even I didn't see coming. That night, just when I thought she'd go quiet, everything exploded again. Around midnight, a patrol car pulled up to the motel where my daughter and I were staying. Two officers stepped out, knocking hard on the door. "Sir, we have a warrant for your arrest." My stomach turned. "For what?" "Arson," one of them said, avoiding eye contact. "You're accused of burning your own property for insurance fraud." Karen. Of course it was her. She'd flipped the story, filed a fake report, and somehow convinced someone high up that I was the criminal. My daughter started crying. "Dad, they're lying," she shouted. I raised my hands, staying calm. "It's okay, sweetheart. Let them play their game." They cuffed me and took me downtown. The entire time, I could almost hear Karen's laughter in my head. The same woman who destroyed my home had now painted me as a criminal. Sitting in that cold interrogation room, I stared at the metal table and thought, this was her move. Her final trick. But she didn't know who she was playing with. After hours of silence, Detective Ramirez walked in. He looked angry, not at me, but at the mess. "They pulled me off the case," he said. "Wall lawyer claimed conflict of interest." I smiled bitterly. "She's got connections. Too many," he muttered. Then he leaned close. "But you've got something she doesn't." I looked up. "What's that?" "Truth. And me." He slid a small flash drive across the table, the footage I'd collected, cleaned, timestamped, verified. "You'll need this where you're going," he said quietly. "Where's that?" I asked. He smirked. "Courtroom. Judge assigned this morning." And when he said the judge's name, my heart stopped. Because that courtroom, that exact courtroom, was mine. The one where I served as special federal prosecutor before retirement. Karen had no idea. She'd just filed charges against the man who would soon decide her fate. The courthouse smelled the same as it always did: old wood, cold air, and truth waiting to be told. I walked in escorted, still wearing the cuffs, but inside, I was calm. I'd been here hundreds of times before, but never on this side of the table. Cameras flashed as reporters whispered, "Veteran accused of burning own house, feeding on Karen's lies like vultures." Then she walked in, heels clicking, fake tears already rehearsed. Her lawyer carried a stack of folders, each one filled with twisted proof. She glanced at me once and smirked, that same smug look from the night of the fire. The judge entered. "All rise." Everyone stood. I looked up, and the moment our eyes met, he froze. Judge Reynolds. My old mentor. He recognized me instantly. When the hearing began, Karen's lawyer spoke first, painting me as a bitter man who torched his own home for insurance money. Every word stabbed, but I stayed silent, letting the lies pile up high. Then Reynolds turned to me. "Mr. Hale, you may speak." I stood. My voice was steady. "Your Honor, I'll need permission to submit new evidence." The courtroom murmured. Karen's smile faded a little. The judge nodded. "Proceed." Ramirez, sitting in the back, handed the bailiff a USB drive. I watched the screen flicker to life, security footage from that night. Karen's SUV. Gas cans. Her face, clear as day. The moment she lit the match, the room went dead silent. Karen jumped up. "That's fake. He edited that." I turned to her slowly. "You dropped your WA badge in my ashes. That's in police evidence too. Want to explain that?" Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. Then I leaned forward just enough for her to hear me and whispered. "You should have listened when I said fire can't kill truth." The judge's gavel hit the desk. "Mrs. Whitmore, you are under arrest for arson, insurance fraud, and falsifying a police report." Her face went white. The same woman who tried to destroy me was now shaking in handcuffs, begging for mercy. But we weren't done yet. Because the biggest twist, the one no one saw coming, was about to hit in that very courtroom. As the deputies moved to cuff her, Karen suddenly screamed, "You can't do this to me. I'm protected." The courtroom fell silent again. Even Judge Reynolds paused mid-motion. "Protected?" he asked. Her lawyer stood frozen, unsure what to say. "But Karen," she broke. "You think I did this alone?" She snapped. "Half the WA board was in on it. The zoning officer signed off my reports. You people have no idea who you're messing with." The judge's brow furrowed. Reporters started scribbling, cameras flashing faster. Ramirez leaned forward in his seat, whispering, "She's digging her own grave." I watched her crumble, piece by piece. She kept shouting, dragging names into the light: city inspectors, insurance agents, even a fire marshal. It was chaos, and it was beautiful. Because she didn't realize that every word was being recorded, under oath. I stayed quiet, just letting her burn her own empire down. Finally, the judge slammed the gavel. Enough, Mrs. Whitmore, you've not only confessed to arson, but also to a criminal conspiracy. Karen's voice cracked. You don't understand, they told me I'd be safe. I took a slow breath, stepped forward. Karen, the moment you lit that match, you weren't just burning my home. You were burning your own future. The judge ordered the courtroom cleared for recess. Outside, the media swarmed. Reporters shouted questions. Did the WA really fund the fire? Is this the biggest homeowner scam in the county? Ramirez walked up beside me, grinning. You just exposed half the system. I looked at the courthouse doors closing behind Karen. No, I said quietly. She did that all by herself. But deep down, I knew this wasn't over. She wasn't the kind to go down without one last strike. And when she did, she'd aim straight for my heart.